All right, gang, welcome back to Procreate. So in this last lesson, we went through and I showed you how to prep an image for a texture brush. So in this lesson, we're going to go through and I'm going to show you how to actually make this work. So let's go ahead and get started. All you got to do is bring up any image, right? Screen size is fine. And then we're going to come over here and we're going to go to brushes I made. Now we're going to add a new brush, and all brushes have shape. So let's go ahead and add a shape. I go into the photos. Now this is the brush that we went through before, right? And I loaded in the image that we just did. See, all the edges are broken up. This is the texture that we used. And now we need a grain source. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to keep this grain relatively grainy, if that's an actual term. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change it up. We're going to go ahead and do something maybe in a zombie texture. All right. Now, what we're going to do here, we're now going to go to shape. When you make a texture brush, you're going to want to improve the spacing up to a substantial level. And then in the dynamics, I always like to turn my size all the way up. Okay, so size up, spacing up. The same works for a stamp brush. I'm going to show you how to do a stamp brush as soon as we're done with this. So there's actually two in this lesson. Let's go ahead and pick kind of a mid-tone gray, and let's go ahead and flood fill this bad boy, just like that. Now, we're going to add a new layer, and now what we're going to do on this new layer, we're going to drop the size of this bad boy. So let's keep it substantially different. You see the contrast in the size? We come over here, and now let's go ahead and trial our brush. So we're going to go ahead and crank up the size. I'm just going to lay that down. Now, why does that look like that? That doesn't work for me. You remember black conceals, white reveals. Let's go to our brush. Let's check out the shape and see why we're doing that. Now let's do this. Invert the shape. Hey, that might actually work. Now you see where the white is. That's what's going to come through. Now let's go ahead and pop this thing in now that we inverted it. That's a lot better. Okay, so black conceals, white reveals, and so now I have a texture brush that I actually like. All right, now you can go through and you can really drop this thing down to a black. Now watch this. We're going to go ahead and crank this bad boy up even further. Okay, so I've got pretty good texture now. Now check out the power of the blend mode. You come down in here, and because we're on a separate layer, you can change the different blend modes. You can color burn it, you can multiply it, but now let me show you what else you can do. Take the color and move it up above, and now make this normal, and now change up this color, and it changes the look substantially because the color is now on top of the texture. So you can do a lot of really cool stuff there by adjusting where the color is in relationship to these textures. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to keep it on multiply. And now what I'm going to do, I'm going to grab my eraser. I'm going to grab my soft airbrush. I'm going to crank up my size on this airbrush a little bit. And I'm just going to go ahead and break up some of this monotony here. So you're able to really work with textures quite a bit through this. Now, let me show you something else. So you've seen that show. Let's go ahead and delete this. Let's keep this layer. And let's just go to a straight white. Let's go ahead and flood fill this back to white. All right, stay with me. We're going to make one more brush now. It's the exact same technique. You're going to come up here and you're going to select a shape. Now you can insert a photo. And the photo that I've attached for you here is a very simple rose that I got offline, right? Because making a stamp brush is all the same thing. And then when you look at grain, we're just going to create 0 grain. This is just a straight up blank canvas grain. All right. Now we go over here, spacing fully up. And now remember black conceals, white reveals. So you're going to want to come down here now and you're going to want to invert the shape so that the white shows through. And then let's make it bright red. Let's go ahead and make this thing bright red. All right. let's check out the size. Make sure we got a good size. All right. So size up, spacing up. You inverted it. And now just tap it. That's how you make a stamp brush with Procreate. Now, this rose was not a high quality JPEG, so when it blew up, it does have some pixelation issues, but you got the idea. If you can make a JPEG out of a vector image or find a vector image online that you can bring into a JPEG, you can make a stamp brush. All right, folks, that's it for how to make a texture brush and a stamp brush. Let's go ahead and get on to the assignment.